Got it.
Okay. So, last week, um, I forgot to mention one thing about something that struck me as interesting, and I felt like I should mention this um, about the Tower of Babel. Uh,
Hmm.
there was a line that I came across in my reading about this. Um, you see, my understanding of these various events is not from a biblical or religious direction. It's from an art and instinctive direction. But this struck me as interesting. Um, in the Tower of Babel, the builders or man's wish to build this structure that goes into the clouds is an act of hubris. An act of hubris. It brings on their destruction. But there's another element here that struck me as interesting, and I wrote this down. God punishes the builders for their vanity by confusing their speech, in quotes,
Oh.
into different languages
Hmm.
so they could no longer communicate. Okay? Uh, God punishes the builders for their vanity by confusing their speech into different languages so they could no longer communicate. Bruegel focuses on the construction of the tower rather than the the biblical story as a whole. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and I felt like in all of the to do last week, I got a little jangled and left that out. So, first thing I want to do today is I sent you something about writing an essay, and I there are some new people here, and it, do you have a question on what I sent you about what I'm asking you to do?
If I could, if
Yes.
I could say something, I don't have any questions. I well, my only question, actually, I should say, is the two images that we need to submit to you. I'm pretty sure I'm doing it on Bruegel, so I was going to wait until after this evening
Sure.
and see what was discussed. But I do just want to tell everybody and you, and I am delighted to be signed up for your class. I knew it would be good for me, and it is, but I had no idea it was a real class, that I would be writing an essay. And but that's very good for me. I thank you for that.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's a surprise. And speaking in front of others, that's also new for me. But I'm on board. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you feel that way because sometimes people don't feel like that, and I think to take it as a challenge. Sometimes writing gets your ideas to congeal, and you begin to realize something. For instance, when I prepare this class, I realize something about what I think, what I care about, what I have to leave out a lot of things. So what I choose to say really is something that means something to me. And uh, the other thing about presenting this class is that I've thought about these subjects for a long time, like 30, 40 years. So all I do is think about this stuff. Um, what you're getting is like the top layer of an iceberg that has been pouring this over for many years. Um, so so in this case, in your essay, try to concentrate on something that we haven't really focused on, which is slow looking. So you want you want to convince the reader of your essay or the listener that you have been looking at these works of art slowly and have been digesting it in that manner. Um, I think that'll be interesting to add that. The essay isn't long. It's like 1 page or less. So it's like 3 minutes to 4 minutes, uh, 10 to 25 lines. Um, if you get very excited and you want to write more than one essay, I'd be glad to read them. Yeah. And also, I want to just add that some of you have written incredible notes to me about things you see or questions you have. I think it's wonderful. I sometimes I can respond right away. Sometimes it takes a few days. But if you feel that, you should communicate. Yeah, it's great. Um, okay, so no, are there any other questions about the essay? So we're not going to do that next week. We're going to do that in 2 weeks. So you'll have enough time to digest this. I thought next week I'd like to discuss Kentridge, William Kentridge. Okay, I had just seen a performance of his work. Uh, well, you can't say it's really his work. Well, you can say it. He directed it and thought it up. Um, he's very, very interesting, and so he's fresh in my head, and I'd like to do that. And then 2 weeks from today, we'll do the essay. Just one thing about that is that if you have the pictures, you should send the pictures ahead. In other words, once you figure out what pictures you want, send them ahead and then write the essay. Okay? Okay, so I thought of a few extra things to say about Bruegel, which I had forgotten, or it came to me afterwards. So uh, he is simply amazing, I think. Uh, I think his message, his what he's trying to say, is not entirely clear. But it's not entirely clear in the sense, it's not in the sense that he's mixed up, or not in the sense that he's not understanding. It's not clear because it's not clear. It's not clear because it's not clear. In other words, some people are not clear because they're dizzy or fuzzy or out of it a bit. He's not clear like that, but his message, what he's trying to convey, seems to me to have many different interpretations. And it's not definitive. It's not, he's not proclaiming an idea. Um, also, at some point in the past, I had mentioned a term which I began to think of again in the last few days. Eidetic, eidetic, Eidetic. I first came across this term many years ago in a class where I taught drawing. I had a very enthusiastic young woman who was in the class. She was really bubbling over and very intense. And then one day she came in and said to me, "Do I, do I, Simon, do I have an eidetic memory?" Okay. And I never heard that expression before. So I went and looked it up and researched it and so forth. And then I came in the next week and I said, I understand what you mean by an eidetic memory, uh, but I don't have that. Okay. So an eidetic memory means that you can depict what is in your head. Okay. You can see something, it is recorded into your brain, and from seeing it, it's recorded into your brain, and then you can draw it. or paint it. I don't have that, but what I do have is I can see an image that I want to create, which might of disparate items, of multifaceted forms, of different times, different mindscapes, and create an image that looks, create a painting or a drawing that looks like that vision in my head. So I started to think of this because the Bruegel paintings are phenomenal. And I don't see how he could have done these paintings without some sort of eidetic memory. It, we're not even talking about aids like photography or digital work or film and so forth. He had to be able to visualize things, some of which he might have seen, and some are paintings that he could never have seen. These are not, it's not possible to have seen these images. So, so I think that this is an amazing example of an eidetic memory. And in the paintings, there are various subjects which show like a person leaning over like this or falling back like that. And I think those are improvisations within a big structure of art, a big structure of design. Um, the other thing I think of is that his work is, even though some of it is loopy and crazy, it's very thorough.
Mm.
It's very thorough in what I would call a German direction. That it's hard to stereotype. I wouldn't want to stereotype, but if you're going to say this, there's something to that. Um, so, for instance, the painting children's games, which we saw a bunch of, it's almost like a documentary of multiple children's games that he's giving you. He's saying, we have all of these children's games. I'm going to show you all of them. But it's not a documentary, it's really art. I mean, there are documentaries that are artful and are art, but this is not like that. He's cataloging this all for you. Um, and he's going to, in tonight, you're going to see the cataloging of the end of the world, the different manifestations of the end of the world that he's saying it's going to look like this. Also, the tonal qualities in his work are very close together. Okay, so the grays go very close, even though it's very colorful. So all the colors are blended down or grayed down to create an aura, an air in it. Um, so I'm going to show you some more pictures of Bruegel, but do you have a question about anything I've said so far? Okay, sure. Okay, so let me see if I could do this. Here.
Mm.
Okay, so I want to leave enough time for us to respond to these works and also for any of your thoughts about the film I asked you to see, Museum Hours. So we'll spend like about a half hour on this, maybe a little bit more, but something like that. So I wanted to finish up Bruegel at the Kunsthistorische Museum, and but then I found this painting here, which is not at that museum, but it has a similar theme. So this is a theme of peasants and peasant life, peasant marriage, peasant dancing. And this represents the same thought that I was trying to express before that about an eidetic memory. Um, he had to be able to reconstruct this world in his mind. He might have had drawing samples, he might have had sketches, but basically, this is a reconstruction of something that was in his mind or that he possibly could have seen.
Mm.
Um, so those two are from a painting that's located in Detroit at the Detroit Museum of Art. But the next two are from this very amazing museum in Vienna. So these two, you'll see also. I found a slide of a man standing in front of this painting and the next one, and you'll get a sense of how big the paintings are. Um, this is a very well-known painting by Bruegel, and it, his also his design sense is very interesting. He'll many times has a diagonal that where you enter the painting on a diagonal.
Mm.
I think this painting is in the size approximately of 40 to 60 or 42 to 62, 42 to 64, something like that. So this is a detail. Sorry, let's go back. Yeah, so this is a detail of male figure just to the right of center.
Wow.
And in this image, he really hones in on the portrait. Um, it, this is and it carries the painting. This image. Yeah, now, another thing that just occurred to me in terms of his documentary approach, or or what I said before, his message isn't really clear. Um, he's depicting the world of peasant life, but he's not saying this is bad or this is good or this is horrible or this is amazing. This is these people are entering heaven. Um, he's not depicting any of that. Uh, he, I mean, he's depicting. It's objectifying these scenes. So this is the second painting that rounds out the paintings that are in the Kunsthistorische Museum. So altogether, to me, these are six amazing masterpieces this would be the sixth one. Again, you're entering the painting on this diagonal that's sweeping through, and he's describing a peasant dinner. Um, the size of this painting, approximately the same as the other one.
What is this called?
I think it's called the peasant wedding, or peasant wedding, something close to that.
So are those like bagpipes or something?
Yes, yes, yes,
Maybe.
definitely. Yeah,
The whites in all of these paintings are so white that your eyes are immediately drawn to those areas.
yes, yes. Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, extremely good. And the reds are so red, actually.
Mhm.
I think that's the bride against the back wall there,
Yes, yes,
Mm.
something over her head.
yes.
Mm.
And in typical Bruegel fashion, the title, the subject of the painting is not front and center. You know, you have to sort of seek it out.
Well, very well said. Very well said. Very interesting.
Did somebody say what was over her head?
John, could you say that again?
What's that over her head?
I'm not sure what that is, but it must be something ceremonial as regards new bride, new life.
It might be a lantern.
Could be, yeah.
Or
To
a
me,
or a
the,
chalice, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm.
the
It's
cloth
just
is setting
a
that
paper
spot.
lantern, like a
I read that is a paper crown,
paper crown.
Oh,
Ah, ah,
although it does look upside down, maybe.
She has a something on
yeah.
here
She
that
has a ring.
let me
ring.
let me continue, okay?
Hmm.
Ah, here's the man standing in front of the two paintings. So I would say that each one of these paintings is about 44 inches wide. No, no, I'm sorry, 64 inches wide. And so with the frame, I would say maybe 70.
Mm.
So like not quite 6 feet.
Wow.
You know, the Harvesters is at the Met, so you can see. I went to see it, and you could see how big they are.
Yes,
These.
that one at the Met I did not include with all of these, but I could have easily done that. It's a painting of harvesters, and it's this size. Let me continue. Um, so I was reading about this painting, and uh, they call the woman in this painting a virago, which is a word that I'd never heard of.
Mhm.
Virago.
Yes.
Interesting word, virago, which meant, if I got this right,
The world.
a woman who has the strength and bearing of a man, or a strong woman. I never heard of that before.
I think that word has often been used in a derogatory way about women.
Yes, it has. I'm sure. I'm sure. And yeah, so in this painting, the the painting is sometimes called Mad Meg, and the woman is leading an army to pillage hell. And so even though Kathy is right that the whites are very strong and the reds are very strong,
Yeah.
the tonality is
Yeah.
quite together, kept quite together. And I think there are some nice slides that come on which where you can feel the way the paint is applied. Um, See, the paint seems to me to be applied thinly,
Yeah.
and you can even see over here where it seems to be coming through. The ground seems to be coming through, and even in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, this is like a maniacal pursuit of reality. Very visionary. Look at all the stuff that's in here. This photo is unfortunately it's slightly out of focus.
That-
Well, maybe fortunately.
yes.
Um, Crazy, really crazy.
It's very Bosch.
Yeah, very,
Yeah,
very.
exactly. Yeah.
Is that a spoon coming
Yeah.
out of his head?
No, it's coming out. Yeah, is that coming out of his head?
What's
I don't think so.
Not clear. Its head.
Oh.
It seems to be another aperture.
Right.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Orifice.
Here we go.
But Simon,
Yeah.
when you see the entire picture, not just the detail, could the virago instead of being the woman that's there charging, could the virago be actually on the very left hand side of the painting with the mouth and the eyes and the nose, that big cavernous
Oh.
thing? That's a woman with her mouth open and the nose and the eyes. The one woman is charging there.
Uh,
Could that be the virago also?
it's possible, but this brings me to another thing about Bruegel is that the mouth is very significant, very important, and in my way of seeing this, this mouth is like hell. And
Yeah.
there are always people entering or leaving mouths. Um, uh, it's kind of actually disgusting, but very appealing in a certain way. Um, uh, okay, let me keep going here. You see a very small section of that painting is this area here, and it is simply amazing to take a small area and make it full of character and very distinctive in this manner. I honestly can't figure out how he did it.
This is so different from the other paintings in that it is much more like Bosch. It's very
Yes, yes,
plastic and
yes.
surrealistic.
otherworldly. And,
Well, you can see two poles in his art. One is like the peasants, much more naturalistic, and this one is really visionary. and diabolical.
Well, it looks, yeah. It's like a war against the peasants, though. If you look at just this cut, you've got the soldiers down on the right and the peasants with scythes and stuff.
Let me see if I could find where this is.
Oh, there, it's down. No. Oh, it's over to the right. Yeah.
Here, no? Here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is, if this painting is about 64 inches wide, this is about 12 inches. So let's go back to this.
What's the boat?
This is about 12 inches.
Yeah.
12, it looks like 12 by 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, the red, the reds or vermilions are dazzling, and
fire,
yeah, and the you see, like in this area, you see it's painted very thinly, and so the color that's underneath this red is coming through. Same thing in here. It's painted very thinly over a very bright yellow or white. And even this section, even with the colors this
it's very
potent, it has a tonal connectiveness that holds it. But you got some really crazy things going on here.
Very into,
for instance, this boat with the bubble in it.
Yeah.
And
the person in pink whose back it's on, and then
yes,
another rear, whatever, that he seems to be scratching or something.
The contrast between the boat with the bubble, which almost looks futuristic, that bubble is fascinating. But the contrast between that and then the pink below and the woman's leg is, I don't know, it's really striking.
Very, very
fascinating.
Let me just keep going. These paintings, some of them are incredibly theatrical. Really dazzling.
It looks like a modern day movie poster for.
Yeah.
It does. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Okay, so now this one is called The Fall of the Rebel Angels.
Fall of the what angels?
The Fall of the Rebel Angels.
Okay.
The initial fall of evil into the world from heaven. The fall of the rebel angels. Fall of the satanic forces out of the realm of pure spirit. Lucifer falls from heaven because of his pride. So this is
wow,
really apocalyptic and really different than the paintings we started with here in this class, the ones of the scenes of the peasants. I have some nice details of this, but this is really something else. Really striking. This form here.
Which one?
This one. Do you see my arrow pointing around?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This form. I think there's a detail of that. This form is very interesting. No, wait a minute.
That's so interesting.
This form is very interesting. This butterfly shape.
Ooh.
And again, all these mouths here.
Yeah.
incredible composition. Everything very, very close to the picture plane.
Wow.
And the intertwining quality is very striking.
Simon, could you enlarge the central figure that almost looks like a marionette?
This
The
one,
wings.
this one, I think it's
No, the one next to it.
this
More,
one.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's coming up.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just keep going. Um, now I remember this. I actually didn't write anything about this here, but I remember this from reading. This is interesting, actually. The point that some of the writers make about Bruegel, I really agree with, that his paintings are not religious.
Right.
This is some type of way that human beings are pictured in our life on this planet, in our voyage on this planet. And it's not based on um, heaven or some kind of redemption in another world. I think that's quite interesting, and I think that whoever the writers were who mentioned this, I think I agree. I agree.
Someone mentioned that last week, and I thought that was really a fascinating observation. That
Very, very, very fascinating.
they're visionary, but they're not religious.
Yes,
They're not
yes,
they're not going with the trends of the time.
that's right. That's right, and that makes him even more singular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the film, the guide in the museum talks about that too. How the religious figure is not central to the painting.
Yes, yes. Let me just move along with some of the details.
Mm.
In the whole painting, the rotational quality is very interesting. The movement and rotation of the figures, but it's all designed uh, for some central piece of architecture or some central design motif.
Huh. A lot of fish. Oh my God.
I'm thinking, Simon, that this one that you're taking a look at, the fall of the rebel angels,
Yeah, yeah,
um, is the most Bosch picture that we've seen so far.
yes, yes.
Uh,
You're gonna,
Bosch was, I think Bosch was more significant than Bruegel was, at least early in Bruegel's career. Uh, so maybe he's trying to get some favor with the public by painting in the style of Bosch.
uh,
Uh,
I, I don't know. I really don't know. But
it's so different from his latest stuff, the peasant work. It's like
very, very different. Yeah, yeah.
he's got a sort of a schizophrenic au revoir, like
But similar mind in terms of the compositions, that there's an overall geometry, an overall architecture, and then there's this miniaturization which fits into an overall grand composition.
I just read that Bosch died a few years before Bruegel was born, but Bosch was still popular. So that's, probably why he was influenced by Bosch.
On one side, he's got these peasant paintings, which are very kind of friendly in spirit. You can't help but kind of feel warm and fuzzy about them. And then he's got this other side, this darker side.
But I think that's very good, isn't it?
That he has both of them?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I like his candid. He's candid. He's like he's sort of uninhibited.
No. I'm trying to convey what I actually feel.
I'd like to get to the triumph of death.
The bipolarity of it strikes me as appealing.
Where do these imagery come from? I don't think modern day people could do this kind of thing. He's tapping some kind of subterranean.
I don't have this in front of me, but in that Van Eyck painting that I went to see, which I told you about
Van Eyck? Okay.
at the Metropolitan Museum, there's a small part of that painting, which is already small, but there's a tiny part of that painting which has figures in it which look like this.
Oh.
And Van Eyck is earlier than both Bosch and Bruegel.
Really?
This is the area that I was pointing out before.
Are
This
those eyeballs?
fantastic scene. I think they look like birth forms, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
That
sure
makes
Interesting again.
what the species
Whatever, yeah.
what the species is.
Like row.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's good. But you could see the mouth form.
You see all the crowns on the animals.
And lots of knives.
I'm sorry?
Lots of knives.
Yeah.
It all together looks painted very thinly. Certain areas thicker, but all the ground forms fairly thin.
It's like he invented the science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very surreal, very, very surreal and strange. And I think utterly compelling.
Mm.
I don't have a location for this one, but you could probably look it up. The Fall of the Rebel Angels.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the last picture of Bruegel, which I thought to show. And this is, I think the name of this is The Triumph of Death.
Yeah.
And so there's a few sentences or a few terms that I found that seemed worth repeating. Sorry. A clear connection with Bosch in this one. The dark cube, which is here, or you could say a mouth, which is here, an entrance to hell itself. An art historian is quoted, Walter Gibson, describes the painting as a secular apocalypse.
Hmm.
It's a very interesting point, a secular apocalypse. No sense of an afterlife, no sense of redemption. And so, again, this overall abstract composition with overall depth and frontal areas. The frontal areas almost appear like they're popping up a bit, and myriads of details within this, uh, uh, phantasmagorical. Um,
Simon,
yeah, yeah.
I think you'd probably want to reference that movie that was made by the Polish director, The Mill and the Cross. If
Oh, I don't know that.
you don't know that movie, I'm
No,
surprised.
The Mill and the Cross.
The Mill and the Cross. It's a movie about Bruegel painting the procession to Calvary, and it's it's a highly acclaimed movie, and it has Michael York playing, and has an artist. The artist himself, Bruegel, is played by a guy named Rutger Hauer. Anyway,
Yeah.
some of this the imagery in this particular one is repeated in the
Oh, how interesting. Interesting.
procession to Calvary. You see those long sticks in the air with
Yes.
the
Yes,
spear?
I wondered about that. What are they?
They would torture people by um, tying them to these discs and putting them up on poles, spread eagle, if you will, and literally they'd be eaten by vultures and over time. And it was a way to intimidate the public, like somebody who crossed them up. And the movie does an incredible job of it.
Do you know
It's
who the
the
director is?
movie is haunting.
The director?
Lech Majewski, Majewski, Polish.
Maje?
Yep, Majewski. I don't think he's Jewish. I think he's Polish. Lech Majewski. It won a few awards. It was from 2011.
Well, that's great.
The Mill and the Cross.
Yeah. Let me show some details of
I thought you were the one that actually steered me that way, but maybe it was someone else. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know the movie, and
Oh, you're gonna love it when you finally see it.
I try to watch a one movie a day. Uh, okay, so I've seen a lot of movies, but
it's
I've not seen that movie. So
you'll see it's kind of loosely based on, the Spaniards oppressing the population in murderously during this period of time, in the mid 1500s.
let me show some details of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if some of you were in the class when we discussed Felix Nussbaum.
Yes. Yes.
And some of these skeletons and
Right.
images made me think of his work. Look at how populated this area is. And I bet this area is like 3-4 inches.
Yeah.
I wonder how much he planned this whole thing, or how much he just kind of, as he went along, added to it as he thought of things.
Well, I can't stop thinking about that. I can't stop thinking about how he figured this out. But my sense is that the overall composition set him to go. And then he had some ideas of big shapes in various places, but he could not have planned this out. A lot of this must have been of the moment or improvisatory. This is a wonderful scene. This, well, terrible, horrible, but wonderful,
Really?
wonderful scene that is here, here, over
Yeah.
here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
uh, interesting to me are the cards on the floor, what looks like a game of backgammon, and
Yeah.
this table is very
Mhm.
interesting. Um, and this whole thing is fantastic. Scene is absolutely fantastic. Um,
So the skeletons are grabbing the women. I mean, the it's just a fear and kind of horrid.
well, in some of the reading I did, there's referencing to uh, images of death, image of skeletons, the dance of death. Um,
Oof.
Holbein did a series of very small woodcuts or drawings and woodcuts that had to do with death. Um, so this is at the, I think at the top left. Let me see if I can go back. Yeah, this is this
Oh,
part here.
yeah.
Open up is this.
Again, there's that look of the ground coming through the back, the underpainting here
Yes, yes.
and on the ground. Yeah.
I think all the ground areas are painted very thinly.
Yeah.
And just to repeat what I said last time is that underneath all of this is a kind of an ivory gesso substructure, and this is painted on top of that. And so the thought is that as paint ages and dries, it becomes slightly thinner and more transparent.
Mm.
So that a lot of these paintings
Okay.
look quite fresh because the undercolor is a white, a very bright white.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, I think that was the last one that I had.
Simon, in the seeing the entire painting, there's a black crow towards the bottom of the painting. I'm wondering if people have noticed that in many of the paintings, there are black crows. Sometimes they're in the trees, sometimes they're in the air. In
Yeah.
this case, there's one black crow. I don't see where it is now. It's right towards the bottom. Just I'm wondering if would it be reading too much into it to kind of assume that the black crow means something about death altogether. That
No,
death is
no,
always hanging over.
I would go for that one. I would, a lot of times symbolism can feel made up, but that sounds right. That really sounds right.
On the back of the horse.
Yeah, right here, right
Yeah.
here.
I
Let me
don't
let
I
me
don't see where the crow is now.
I want to go to where I can see all of you. So I'm going to stop the share.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So I, can you free associate on Bruegel uh,
yeah.
or the film, just like a minute, 2 minutes, if you don't mind, or Gillespie, however you feel. Just I'd be curious to hear, especially what we've covered tonight. Um, uh, would someone have a feeling, an instinctive feeling that they'd like to say something? Yeah,
Well, my
Carol.
feeling about oh, sorry,
I'm sorry. Who was talking?
Kathy Tatakis.
Oh, okay. Just
Oh,
hold.
this
hold.
would say
Let's start with Carol.
fine.
I have such a dichotomy a dichotomy of feeling about Bruegel because I really love the peasant paintings, and I guess because I've seen the peasant paintings, I have much less of a feeling for the early ones, which, in Bosch I love, but here somehow it's, they I don't like them. They make me feel very uncomfortable and they're very ugly. And
The peasant ones.
the what?
Which one are you
Oh,
talking about?
These last couple of Bruegels that
Oh, oh,
we looked at. Whereas I love the peasant ones. I think they're just beautiful and give me a sense of the world as it is, as opposed to the world as he kind of feared it or thought it was going to end or was apocalyptic. But I don't like them as much as I like the Bosches that are as crazy.
well, I think that one thing that you should do. It, now, I don't know if I'm right about this. I think I'm right for myself, but you should differentiate between what you like and what has an explosive force. So sometimes something that has
Mhm.
a certain kind of heat to it,
Yeah.
not drawn to, but you could say, wow, whoa, okay? So
Okay.
you should always do that.
Yeah. Good point.
I always hear people talking in galleries and they say, oh, I couldn't live with that one. I couldn't live with that one.
No one's asking. Yeah.
No, but beyond that, it's irrelevant.
Right.
It's totally irrelevant. Who cares? You can live with this one, you can not live with that one. The point of the art is uh, what is that inner pulse that the art is sending to you and going like that in your direction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a difference between liking something and
Right.
what is
Looking.
what is art. Okay.
Good.
Um,
Good point.
now let's go to oh, Kathy.
Well, just very quickly, I was going to say that, you had mentioned so much about the high horizon that Bruegel would have. And I noticed that in the movie, even right at the very beginning, when they're first talking about the painting, I don't remember if it was the harvesters or if it was the winter scene, then the director goes to filming and he captures the same kind of look where he sees a high horizon and maybe people doing unusual things down below. And that happens many times in the movie where many of the things that you talked about, I saw in the paintings, but I also saw in some of the action that was taking place.
Yeah, I don't think that was an accident.
Probably not.
Yeah. Um, uh, I'm curious, Alan, I'm curious what your take is on all of this, if you don't mind. I can't hear you.
He's muted. He's muted.
Okay. All right. Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Well, a couple of things. One, first of all, I have to say I had seen the first four paintings that you showed us tonight, and I remember spending a lot of time in when we were in in the museum there in Vienna. And it was nice seeing them again because it brought back a lot of memories. I think we had seen this about 10 years ago. The thing about those paintings, struck me then and strikes me again, is there's a lot of detail in these paintings, but yet if you look closely at the figures, particularly their faces, they're very abstract.
Yes, yes.
And somehow being able to do an abstract drawing or painting of, yeah, and yet, express the expressions seems really quite good to be able to do that. And as far as it seemed to me, well, in the early pieces that they were all still eating that psychedelic rye bread, I think, and
Yeah.
those paintings reminded me a lot. They reminded me of Bosch when I think I had mentioned that in a email to you a while ago, but they were really reminiscent of the part of on the I guess the hell part of Bosch's painting. It just almost looked like, I don't know, that he kind of copied those ideas, and maybe I don't know, in the Garden of Delight.
Do you think do you think that my presentation in terms of the architecture is in his work is correct?
Uh,
If you think of architecture as spatial.
yeah, no, the spaces, particularly again in the later paintings, the one where you see I remember which one it was, but the one that had a street kind of on the right side, and you can see the depth. It had a lot of depth. It just it pulled you all the way in, and the perspective was really good. And the nice part about it is it was all the way on the right, and again, kind of having to, doing that, I think to me was a good way of, creating the overall expression of the painting.
Okay, good. Um, Someone want to volunteer, or should I just ask you to speak? Susan, what do you think? What do you think? Susan.
Yeah, okay. I always think more slowly than you want me to, Simon. But here's the thing that I do want to think
That's what I
about.
like about you.
So think about the 5 blind men that are about to fall into the ditch, because the first one is falling, the next one is coming, and they're just going to topple like dominoes. And then I'm thinking about the last few paintings you showed us, and I'm wondering if there was I don't want to be too psychological, especially since we don't know his life very well. But so maybe they're simultaneous, but there was a way in which those angels, the good angels, are turning the rebel angels into all those horrible creatures. But maybe in human beings, you just happen to be blind and you may fall into a ditch. I feel like he takes away, maybe he takes away judgment.
Yes, I agree with that. I would have never thought of saying it like that, but I agree.
Takes away judgment.
Want to continue a bit?
No, that's it.
That's terrific. Bruni, I see you mulling everything over. What do you want to add?
I wanted to add the way that he does away with time and space, in that everything is happening all at once, which is so true in life. For example, we're sitting here in this little group, this little vignette, sharing our thoughts about art, yet somewhere in another space, there's some horror going on in Gaza.
Hmm.
And another space, and another vignette, there's another horror going on in the Ukraine. And all of this human activity is happening all at once. We just don't see it that way. We don't feel it that way. I don't think we can feel it that way. It's too much.
I think what
So,
yeah.
So I see that in him, where he's showing everything.
I think it's fantastic what you just said. Honestly.
Yeah. And I also feel somebody mentioned that that he doesn't see modern artists working in this vein, but they are, because I've seen a lot of this imagery and it's very youthful and there's a lot of vitality in it. I think Bruegel was very young. I think he was in his 30s when he was painting this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I see this imagery in a lot of graphic novels and in video art. There is a lot of this. So he is still with us. Yeah. These images, this absurdity, this craziness, this frenzy of human activity is still going on.
So you're the phrase that summarizes what you're saying is something like doing away with time and space.
Right. Yeah.
So, Susan, what would be the phrase for you?
What would be the word for me?
No, Susan. Susan,
Oh,
what
I'm
would
sorry.
be the phrase for your statement?
Well, I was saying that he seems to be taking away judgment in the peasant painting that we like. He shows people, I think there's a couple of episodes where some people are going to take I don't know, maybe someone's drink away from them. There's just a couple of things on the edges, but they aren't, it's not like the angels, or it's not like human beings that have, or of women being grabbed by skeletons. I mean, I just feel like, okay, so here we are. Here's the whole panoply of human beings.
Yes, I think that your two statements are amazing, really amazing. Let me see. Anne Marie, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I've just been associating what we've been looking at in terms of an inner landscape and a outer landscape. Looking at the peasant paintings and now the other kind of strange figures.
Fantastic. But really fantastic. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely terrific.
Yeah, even in the movie, the movie was also kind of a journey. You know, we're following this woman and she's in this new place and you know, but what was going on in that space was the real story. You know, that was what was mostly interesting.
The movie made me think a bit of My Dinner with Andre. I don't know why. It just made me think of it. Maybe not really connected, but Rita, would you like to continue?
Yes. What I loved about the movie was it allowed us to look at art without the elite around. There wasn't a curator. There wasn't a It was art seen through ordinary people's eyes, kind of like us. Not to insult anybody. I'm sure you're all more than ordinary, but we are kind of, we're not famous artists except for Simon. We're not schooled in the history of art the way a curator would be. So these are simple people who show us a path to really love and appreciate art. It doesn't have to intimidate us. And I think that's why some of us have come to this class, and the class has allowed us not to be intimidated to speak to the subject and to give our thoughts without feeling it's only left for the curators to do that.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to react to. Can I say something?
Yeah. Who are you? Where are you?
Anne Marie.
Yeah.
But Rita's saying, I have a little struggle with that because I think, the artist is wanting us to think something, wants us to get something from their work. And I have a little struggle with myself saying, no, it's what I'm getting, what I want to, what I experience, what I'm getting from it. So I think it's helpful what you said. It shouldn't be intimidating. It should be.
Rita, to respond to you personally, there's a word which is thrown around a lot, which is modernism. And so it always strikes me that there's modernism with a capital M and modernism with a small m. So modernism with a capital M is a club, and that club is somehow connected with the Museum of Modern Art and with 16 people that are in this club, and no one else is permitted. But modernism with a small m can be very interesting. Like what is this idea, modernism? And the second thing that I thought of was that the the first gallery that I had was a very fancy gallery called Stemfly, and I always thought that the art should appeal at one and the same time to um, a professor of art, a student, um, a teacher, a person you pull in off the street, and the mailman. Okay, if you could do that, that's really, really something. Okay, the more families you bring in, the better. But that's just my point of view. But I immediately thought of that with what you said, which is quite stunning. The relationship of the woman and the man in that film is fascinating. Absolutely, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. It, they just didn't tell you things to think. You were like, they had a sense of awe about what was coming, what was in front of them, the two of them. Um, Very unusual film, I think. Um, uh, who who should I call on? Oh, Len, what about you?
So this has been interesting for me, Simon, and not for a reason that you would ever guess in a million years. Um, so when I was a boy, in growing up in Turner Towers, across the street from the Brooklyn Museum, um, in my living room, over our brown feltish sofa, was the peasant wedding.
Really, really, wow.
In its full size.
Wow.
Like literally like 4.5 feet by 6 feet, framed in my living room.
Wow.
So I've been sort of meditating on my knowledge of this work through the eyes of like a 8, 9, 10-year-old boy.
Huh.
Wow.
And then understanding it and seeing it anew, now and thinking about it. And, and I'm thinking probably I'll write about this because I have a lot more to think about it. But, when I think about most of my perception of it was I wasn't even facing it, right? It was like my back to it. As I watched the 1977 Yankees, right? And like I kind of remember like those plates, like they're carrying along those plates, and that one guy in the front and center holding with the other guy holding, but it's like it's so superficial, you know. So anyway, I've been chewing on that.
Um, were your family interested in food, weddings?
Well, so
Uh,
this is the thing. I texted my mother last week, and I said, Mom, like where is that? Like what happened to it? Because at some point it just vanished,
but
right? And so I don't know why it was there.
that's a very large reproduction.
Yeah. So I don't know where it came from. I don't know who was drawn to it. So
So
it's my own little art, mystery.
this is a very bad non sequitur, but in the past, I've recommended a book called Leap, and this book was written by, it's very well written by a woman named Terry Tempest Williams, and it's a book on the Garden of Earthly Delights.
Huh.
And one of the reasons that she wrote this, she's from Utah and grew up as a
Mormon.
Mormon, true believer Mormon. Okay. But one of the reasons that she wrote this, if I remember this right, was her grandmother had a poster of the hellish part of the Garden of Earthly Delights. And so when she visited her grandmother, she would see this painting. And then she decides, which seems kind of on a whim, to go to Madrid to throw herself at this painting. And the book is an attempt to depict her journey to find what got to her in this painting. Isn't that something?
But I want to know what your mother said about about.
She hasn't replied, and actually, my brother is saying that it at some point it changed rooms, that it went into the foyer as you enter the apartment. And I can't remember. I'm like maybe John, maybe it moved. I'm not.
Now I have another thought about this. Is I wonder if one of your parents liked this a lot and the other one did not like it a lot.
Well, that's another story for another day.
Fantastic. Okay, so what about Sarah? Sarah, do you have any thoughts that
Yes, I haven't been to all these classes of I'm just going to tell you a little personally that I work full time and I've been dealing with tariffs. So it's been a little harrowing.
Is this connected with tariffs?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's just that I'm really enjoying this, and my work is actually that I produce most 90% of the scarves for the Met. So I'm no stranger to museums and art, but this is bringing a certain, like what you said before about the slow looking and looking at these paintings it's just really good for me right now because I'm a little stressed. But what I think took in one of the early comments was that they liked the earlier peasant paintings much better than the darker later ones. But what I kind of got from the overview of the images and people's comments were that I'm finding them quite extraordinary and visionary, like all of them. That there are hundreds of people in every painting, and everybody has some unique expression. And I'm just, very sort of moved. And I've seen quite a few Bruegels in my time, but this is sort of bringing a different aspect to it of the visionary aspect of his work. And I think the fact that a lot of it is like Bosch, but it's also like the peasant paintings. I think I've seen 3 out of the 4 of the 4 seasons. They still move me.
And so now, as you proceeded to talk, the first thing I thought was that you're involved with tax collecting. But now I see that that's not correct at all.
No. I'm dealing with tariffs with my business because my mills are in China and in India.
Now I understand. Now I got it.
No taxes. Somebody once told me that a neighbor of mine said, "Oh, I thought you were a lawyer," and I said, "I've been called a lot of things, but never that."
Okay, that's great. That's great.
I'm a textile designer.
Yeah, that's great. John, you want to add something?
I think I could add to what Sarah just said. I've really enjoyed this. I'll call it an introduction. I knew the artist, I'd looked at him, but I never traveled deep into it. So I really appreciate him being brought to life. I cannot add to the comments. I've been writing them down, but the concept of Bruegel taking away judgment.
Yes.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, terrific.
Taking away time and space or collapsing time and space.
Terrific.
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Art through a non-elite filter, as regards that movie, I think was great. But having this deeper dive into Bruegel has really made me appreciate, well, number one, just how radically different these two veins of his work are, and how I think, I could be wrong, that's just unprecedented for the time. Somebody would go off in those two different directions and have either direction be very, very significant and moving. When I think of peasant paintings, Millet comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to Bruegel, Millet almost seems maudlin or too sentimental. Bruegel and this taking away judgment just does it so much better.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes.
One thing that you made me think of is that I think one of the nice goals of a class like this or this direction is to think of how smart the artists are, how intelligent or how much they are uh, they're grasping a reality that we don't grasp, that we don't think of.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was going to say, you think Bruegel was intelligent, very intelligent, wise, fascinating, would you like to have coffee with him? Would he impart to you something that would be amazing? I'd say yes to everything. I think that's so. In other words, it's intelligence, but it's not intelligence based on IQ tests or trivia answers to questions, but it's intelligence based on a different set of criteria. I like that idea. You don't have to agree with me, but I like the idea.
Well, here's another idea. So you're saying the artist is smart, but what I'm enjoying about this group is that the audience can also be smart.
Right? Yes. Actually, outdoing themselves tonight. Outdoing themselves in big time.
I'm enjoying that aspect of it.
No, it's terrific. It's terrific.
There's one more thing I wanted to say about the movie. That I think the central character in that movie was the museum itself, or the museum as a cultural institution, and how important and how central it is to everyone's lives, not just people who are wealthy enough to go, but people who can't afford the admission and get in. And it's a sanctuary, it's a healing place. it's a quiet space.
Mm.
It's a space with slow looking.
Mm.
It's an escape. And I think, that was central to this film.
Absolutely. A fascinating film, not like any other film I've seen on art. Very offbeat, and slow.
Simon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to say with the film, I loved it. I felt the art, the way that it was filmed, was very captivating. I felt the art was so alive, like those statues and those paintings, they were really speaking to me in a very strange way. That I've been to many museums, but the art that was coming through that movie was really captivating, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. Um, let's see.
But I have some thoughts on the film quickly before we wrap up.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that film and related to it in several ways. I've traveled a lot by myself, and entering the movie, the train, and you see, the houses. Everybody has their life, but you get a sense of isolation. The buildings are kind of stark. There's nothing really very appealing until you go into the museum, and at first, it almost has a church-like. Um, um, I can't think of a word other than church. There's something sacred about the interior. But the thing that struck me most, that I really could relate to in this film, is the way paintings help us create our own visual language. Their language changed after they started talking in the museum, and I noticed that her mood changed, and she was speaking in more poetic terms, and I found that myself, that not only looking at art, but speaking to people who only know broken English. Yuchi Wang, I studied with for a little while, and I started speaking differently because with somebody who speaks broken English, they cut to the chase. And they found, I think they connected in a way, they found a visual language that they both could relate to. And I thought the end was just beautiful when he's seeing that woman. But until you pan to that scene, it sounds as though he's describing a painting. And he saw objects in Bruegel, odd objects, and then he goes out and he looks at the sidewalk, and there's a scrap of paper and a couple of other things. So the two worlds are kind of interchanging.
Beautifully said. Really,
Yeah.
beautifully said. I think that's a nice way to stop. Let's end on that note. So next week, we'll do Kentridge, and you should be somehow trying to get your thoughts together about this essay. And this was really, I wasn't expecting such a response. This was exceptional. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great class. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Have a good night.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Bye,
Good night.
everybody.
Hey, Rita.
Yeah.
Exceptional. Your take.
Oh, thank you.
Exceptional, really. Brooklyn all the way.
Listen, I feel like I'm an elite looking at paintings, and that's one of the things that drew me to this class. So I loved seeing the paintings through the eyes of these people.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Okay, have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Sarah, great. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.